Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Fino Concept. So today I'm going to create this simple birthday design in Adobe Photoshop. Now let's get started. Welcome to Fino Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. As always, for this tutorial I'll be using Adobe Photoshop CC 2023 and I'll go ahead and create a new document. These are the two pictures that I'm thinking of using. I'm actually torn between which one to use because they all look very neat and nice to me. I shot them myself, so if you're wondering, I'm a photographer as well. So let's go ahead and create a new document. I'm going to set the width and height. Let's change this to pixel. The width and height, as always, 2000 by 2000. I don't know why, but this is what I've been using for quite some time now. Everything else remains the same and I'll click on create. Now I'll go into any of these two images. So between this, I think I'll rather make this the main image. So grab any of the selection tool. I'll be using the quick selection in this case. If you look over here up at the toolbar, you see select subject, and that is what I'm going to click on and allow Photoshop to do its own thing. So Photoshop is going to select the image for me. If I zoom in, you can see it has done quite an interesting work, but it's still not perfect. So what I'll do is I'll just use the lasso tool in this case. Hold down the shift key to add in more of the selection. So I want a little bit more of the hair. I'll select it like so. And I'll select this part as well. If you want to deselect, you just have to hold down the Alt key instead. And just click around the place you do not need. So let's see. Yeah, so far so good. I like the selection. As you can see, there's a bit of a mistake here. So I'll select this part as well. And probably add in a little bit more. Like I said, this is a tutorial, so I wouldn't want to be too perfect with this. If this was actually a client's work, then I'll be spending more time on this. Again, I wouldn't want to waste too much of your time. So as you can see, this part is actually eating into her dress, so we want to take that part out. And in this case, instead of holding down the shift key, I'll be holding down the Alt key so I can take this part away. Or probably let me go back like so. So if I go back from here, again, with any of the selection tools, you can just hit W on your keyboard to get any of the selection tools. Right click and go to layer via copy or layer via cut. Either one is going to work. Now I'll be using the move tool. In this case, I'll just click this whole thing without leaving a mouse left click button. I'll bring it over here to this workspace and I'll drop it in like so. Now let's resize, but before we do that, I want to right click and go to convert to smart objects. I've mentioned this in older videos. The moment you convert to smart objects, anytime you move it around, you resize it, you transform it in any way, it sort of retains the quality of the image as much as possible. But if you don't make it a smart object, it becomes quite distorted. So convert to smart object first and I'll place it somewhere around here like so. So this is what we have and it's looking quite nice already. Now we want to take away some portions of hair because we'll be adding in a text. So with the image layer selected, just grab the add layer mask button, which is the second icon from the, no, it's actually the third icon from the bottom here. So click on add layer mask and I'll grab the brush tool. So B on your keyboard. You can right click anywhere on your workspace with the brush tool and make it a bit bigger. So I think about this big is fine. Then I also use the soft brush. So right click again, select soft round brush and I'll just brush over where I want to take away. Now as you can see over here, the layer mask we added was white. So if I change the color to black and I brush over, it vanishes. If I change it to white and I brush over, it comes back. So basically that's what it does. Black will hide, white will reveal. So I'll just brush over this area because I want to hide the whole of this because we'll be adding in text obviously. So let's start off with a couple of text, but before that, let's change the background. I actually want the color of her dress to be significant in the background. So select the background layer, go into the adjustment panel right here, and I'll click on, let's start with solid color first. So with the solid color, I'm going to use the eyedropper tool by just clicking on the part I want. So in this case is this part of the dress, and I will make it a bit lighter like so, and click on OK. Now I would also want to add in a gradient, making this whole thing, instead of just one simple color, I would want to make the color transition from one to the other. So I'll go back into the adjustment panel. This time around, I'll click on gradient, then I'll select the gradient up here. Now already set to color to transparent, which is fine. I'm going to click on these two colors down here and change them. So when I click on the first one, I'll go into color, select the same color and probably make it a bit lighter. I'll go to the other side, select the same color and also make it a bit dark, lighter. Then okay a couple of times. The moment we come back to the gradient fill layer or dialog box, I'll change this to radial. So as you can see, this is what we have. Now let's change the color, make it much more lighter on one side. So something like this and something like that. Now you can see we have light popping out from her hair. That is actually looking cool. So let me resize this, maybe about 150, and place it somewhere around here and click on OK. So we are actually getting somewhere. Now I would want to also bring in the second image, but before that, let's add in some text. So I'll grab the type tool, the horizontal type tool. You can easily press T on your keyboard to bring it up, and I'll type in happy birthday because it's a birthday stra. Let's make the birthday much bigger. So let's increase the size up here. I'll just click and drag to the right and make it much bigger. Highlight everything, change the color to white. Yeah, I prefer white. Then I'm also going to change the fonts. I think I'll go with the Abraham fonts because it's quite nice. Yeah, the demo version, I'll try and leave a link in the description below in case you guys are interested in getting this exact thing. So let's make it a bit bigger, maybe 72 points. Place it somewhere around here, closer to the center as possible, and just click on OK. Now we are left with the happy. Some people have been using a glorious birthday, so I mean, why not? Let's follow the crowd. But this time around, I'll change the font style. I'll probably use Gotham because I love the font so much, and make it about 18 points. Let's place that one somewhere here, and I'll go with probably the medium version because I want to be able to see the text like so. 18 points is looking too big, probably 14 points is just fine, and place it somewhere here. So we are actually moving somewhere. Now we will want to also add in a couple of wishes down here. So I'll be using the rectangle tool, and the reason for this is I always want to make the text pop as much as possible. So having a sometimes we have a shadow behind the text, it makes it pop. Sometimes you will want to put a shape behind the text. In my case, I like using shapes a lot, so I'll be using a shape instead. So I'll draw a rectangle, probably click and drag like so. I still have the rectangle options here. As you can see, I have the stroke active. That's why I have just stroke in here. I do not want that. I actually want a fill color, so I'll set the stroke to none, and I'll set the fill to a single color, white, maybe yellow. Maybe you can choose a different color to make this a bit uneven. I think purple is fine. Now let's duplicate using Ctrl J rather, not G. G will actually group, and I'll place this somewhere around here. You know what, let's add in another one. So I'll select all three of these and resize them. In some cases, you may have to hold down the shift key if you are using older versions of Photoshop. In other cases, you may not have to do that. So just play around with them and see which one works for you. So let's go ahead and type in our text. what do we wish for here? So we can add in blessings, reduce the font size probably about 12, or probably let's make it 10. Yeah, place it somewhere around here. Add in money, place it around here. I'd want to make the whole of this align perfectly, so let's just duplicate this and put it here, then rename it instead, so that they are all aligned perfectly. We don't have one on top and the other at the bottom. So I'll place this at the center, and the third one is going to come here, say long life, if anyone wishes for that as well. Now, as always, I like grouping my stuff a lot, so I know this layer here and that are all together, so I'll just hold or select both of them, select one, hold down the control key, select the other, and just hit Control G. This is going to group them up. I'll do the exact same thing for these two, and I'll do the exact same thing for these two. Now I want to also change the colors, so this is purple, I'll probably make this blue. Now, because it is a shape, you can easily change the color by double clicking on the shape. Ooh, tongue twister, double clicking. So I'll do the exact same thing for this one. Probably let's make it so we have purple, we have blue. Okay, let's try green, something that's going to make this pop. I think I'll go with this dark red color. Okay, so let me flick this back to screen and let's see what we have. Okay, so we have, no, let me save this before Photoshop crashes on me. So let's call this birthday design. I have so many birthday designs in here, so sometimes birthday design tutorial. Anyway, so let's save this on desktop and just click on save. This is what we have so far, and it is looking quite interesting, but we can't end here. We can make this pop even much nicer. So I have these two texts in here. Let me group that and call this main text. So I told you I can spell today, main text, and I want to change the color of that. So we are going to add in what we call the layer style. You can just go in there and do it one after the other. So for birthday, I'll go into FX right here, click on that and go to blending options. Then in blending options, you have a bunch of them, so you select which one you want to use. In this case, I want to add in a stroke, so I'll just click on stroke, and as you can see, we have an outer line drawing all over it. Then you select a specific color you want to use. In my case, I want to use this exact yellow color in here, like so. Click on OK. Probably set it to about 5 points. Okay, then we want to apply the exact same thing on the glorious birthday. So right click, go to copy layer style, right click on this, go to paste layer style, so it applies the exact same thing on this. All right, so this is what we have so far. Let me go ahead and save one more time. Okay, so now I have all of these texts. I can select all of them again and group them one more time. So Control G and call this all text. And the reason I do this is I actually want to align this in a different way. As you can see, everything is quite straightforward and it's not looking quite nice to me. It's actually nice for most people, but you can just tilt this a little bit more. So if I bring up the move tool, the move tool is for resizing, transforming, moving objects or shapes or text. So in this case, I do want to move this or transform this rather, but in doing so, I want to deform them. So I'll hold down the Control key and the Shift key at the same time, so that when I deform it, it moves in a 90-degree angle. It doesn't distort like something like this. This is not what we want. So I'll hold down the Shift key as well and just gently pull it up, not too much, just a little bit like so. And let's see what we are having. So this is our before and this is our after. And I prefer this more than what we had initially. Again, let me go ahead and save. So let's add in the second image. This is the first image. Let's do the exact same thing for the second image. Select any selection option, the quick selection tool, the magic wand, or the object selection tool. Up here at the toolbar, just click on select subject and allow Photoshop to select the subject in the image for you. As you can see, usually Photoshop does a pretty amazing job, but you still have to go through and do some final touches. So in my case, I like using the lasso tool a lot. L on your keyboard, hold down the shift key, and I can just click and drag over here. Okay, so over here we don't want, the selection is not perfect, so you hold down the Alt key instead and deselect this area. But like I said, this is a tutorial. I wouldn't want to waste your time so much, so I think this is good enough. I'll right click and go to layer via copy one more time, and I'll use the move tool, bring this onto my workspace like so. Now again, before we resize, we would want to make it a smart object first so that it doesn't deform as much or reduce the quality of the image as much. So right click on the layer, go to convert to smart object, and once we've done that, I'll bring this beneath our main image right here. So this is what we have. As you can see, something quite interesting. So we have two images. I'll rather make one bigger than the other. Place the second one somewhere around here. We have two images that we are working with, and I want this to be as transparent as possible. I don't want it to look so opaque like the main image. So over here, right under the layers panel where we have the normal blend modes, you can also see opacity. I want to reduce the opacity to about 10%. So as you can see, the image is actually there, but it is not so clear. This is what we want to achieve. Now, most people would want to leave the image like this, which I don't mind, but like I always say, the more objects you have, as long as you don't suffocate the design, if you have objects in there like shapes, for example, like text, it makes it pop a little bit more. That is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to add in a couple of shapes just to make this stand out a bit more. So you know what, let's group this again. Select both of them, Ctrl G, and call them images, and I'll select all these three, group them, and call them background. It's nice to keep everything organized. Now I'll create one more group that is going to be the third icon from the right, so click on that, and I'll call this shapes. So this is where I'm going to keep all the shapes in there. Now let's select the first shape. That is going to be the ellipse or the circles, which we use the ellipse tool. Click on that. Again, it's set to stroke. I actually don't mind keeping the stroke, but I may increase it afterwards. So let's create a circle, a perfect circle like so. Click and drag, but make sure you're holding down the shift key so that we get a perfect circle, and just release when you feel comfortable with it. I think right around here is just fine. All right, so as you can see, we have a line like so, but I'll go back to my shapes tool. The shape or the stroke is too small, so I'll probably make it 100. Let's see what 100 is looking like. I think 100 is perfect, so I'll place this somewhere around here. Let's go back to the shapes tool, make this 200. The bigger the better, why not? Okay, so 200 is looking much better. Now you can add in as many shapes as you want. I actually want to duplicate this using Ctrl J, and I'll bring the second one right around here. You may also want to make it smaller. Nope, pardon me. And place it right around here, which is also cool. Now some people have noticed other designers adding in a text on the left hand side of the image, sometimes on the right. It's practically the same birthday thing that they add in there. So I'm going to type the birthday again like so, and I'm actually going to reorient this. So just use the move tool, select this shape like so, and as you can see, the cursor changes when you bring it over to the corners. This allows you to create a rotation. So if I click and drag, you see I can rotate this ever so slightly. I want to rotate this about 90 degrees, so I'll go up here at the tools option, and you see the angle. I mean, we did mathematics, so you see the angle sign, and just type in 90, and I'll place this somewhere around here. I can also go ahead and stretch it out, making sure this is covering my entire design like so. Perfect. And as always, I wouldn't want this to look so opaque, so let's reduce the opacity to about 20%. Now I can leave this here because most of you will already agree that this image is looking pretty beautiful. But unfortunately for me, I like adding in what we call other effects, like the screen effect, which I'm going to show you in the last process. I like adding in light. This is going to make it pop. So I'll create a new group and call it light, add in a new layer by clicking on the second icon from the right. Then I'll select a brush tool. So let's select our brush tool. Let's see how big it is. Let's make it a bit bigger. Okay, I think 300. Let's make it 1000. So 1000 is looking much bigger. Then I'll select a specific color I want to use. So go into the color palette and select a color you want to use. And let me click on it. Now this is looking quite nice. I'm going to change the blend mode to screen. In some cases I may use color dodge. So in screen you can see it is making this pop so much. So if I grab my move tool and move the color or the brush color we just created, you can see we have some lighting effect on the image like so. So I'll place this somewhere around here. Let me resize it. I can always bring it back, make it bigger. Now I'll duplicate using Ctrl J. I'll bring one somewhere here and make it very big, maybe about this big, and place it somewhere here. I can duplicate one more time. Let's duplicate the one beneath and place that somewhere here. By just adding in lighting, lights, as many lights as possible. And as always, if it is looking too bright, you can always reduce the opacity. So probably 80% for this, 80% for that. Basically that is it. You can add. So let me turn off the lights and turn it back on, and you see what we are having. Let me add in one more light for this one. Again, make it a bit bigger so that we have some form of gradient look like so. And this is looking quite interesting so far. Now I will want to put one more light behind the head so that the head looks more of a popping thing. So I'll place that somewhere here, and let's move it closer to where the head is. So if I turn this off and on, you can practically see the difference. So let me know guys, which one would you prefer? Is it the one with the lights or the one without the lights? Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like to watch more of our videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Fino Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.